All right, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are looking at something old that is new again. This is the Propel Endeavor2 GT.
Scotty.
This is one of 3 new boards they are about to release. Today specifically we're looking at the GT Endeavor, and I got to tell you, I've been riding it now for about 2 weeks and it's a lot of fun. It's a really well refined board, and I'm comparing this to the original Endeavor. I never had the Endeavor 2, the Endeavor Pro 2. This is a big upgrade compared to that. Before we go too much further, I want to say a massive thank you to Propel for sending this board over for review. If you are interested in getting one, the link will be in the description, along with my discount code, ScottD. Gives you a really nice discount off all of the Propel boards. If you choose to use that, it makes the board cheaper for you, and it also supports this channel. So thank you very much if you choose to use it. So last weekend, I took the original Endeavor and the Endeavor 2 GT out. I met up with Danny Black, one of my good friends and a fellow YouTuber.
By the way, welcome to the channel. My name's Danny Black. I love to share with you cool gear that comes my way.
Before we jump into that footage though, let me just really quickly highlight some of the changes, some of the upgrades, some of the features of the GT Endeavor. So let's start at the top of the board and work our way down. The very first thing is the size. The size has not changed. It is still 39 inches long and 17.2 inches wide. So it's a reasonably short, powerful off-road electric skateboard. One thing that has changed is how you access the bushings. You might remember with the very first Endeavor, it was a little bit hard to change out those bushings. It was a bit of a job, bit of a task. Now you easily access them from these panels at the front and the rear. All you need to do is undo these 6 bolts on each end. It pulls out and you can replace the bushing if you want to go harder or softer. The next big upgrade on the GT is right here next to the front base plate, and that are these awesome headlights. The headlight wiring is already included in the board. It comes out right below underneath here where the bushings are. It's a really simple light to install. I'm not 100% sure if the lights are included. I'll put right here if the lights are included, and if they're not, I'll put the price. I highly recommend these lights. They are really bright. I've been using these. Really nice, and you control them from the remote control, which again is a nice extra. Moving down from the lights, we're gonna move to the wheels. These beautiful upgraded wheels. Now, when they first released the Endeavor, they were okay. It was utilitarian. They were very off-road looking wheels. They've kind of glamorized a little bit, which I like. These are their own in-house made wheels. Bravura, I believe, is the brand, and they are beautiful. They're CNC milled, and they're actually lighter than the original rims. So that's definitely gonna help if you are trying to race this board or if weight is a concern. Now for the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest upgrade or change on the Endeavor GT, and that is how this board handles. They have made some big changes to the spring system, the bushing system. Everything about this bit here has changed. It looks the same, but I can tell you right now, this board handles so differently. All right, let's stop here while we wait for Danny. You might remember the original Endeavor. It was at low speed, it was pretty hard to turn. Like I openly said I wouldn't take it on a group ride in the city. This one I would. I can turn this board in about a meter and a half, fully locked, leaning into it and going for it. It is so much more turny. It's, if that's a word, it's incredible. It's amazing the difference they could get out of it just by making some changes in the spring system. While we're talking about the spring system, another upgrade, and this is a really smart one. At the top of each spring, you can adjust the coil with a twisty sort of ring thing. Really hard, if you've got big hands, really hard to get in there and adjust it. What Propel have done is they've now added a tool hole.
A what?
Now you can use a small Allen key or something to get leverage, and you can twist it. And there's holes every sort of 2 centimeters or 20 millimeters around that ring. So you can adjust that so much easier now. Small thing, big upgrade. closer. Okay, so now let's talk about the battery. It is still using the 12S5P, which I'm really happy about. The 12S5P is the battery that was always in the Endeavor Pro and the Endeavor Pro 2. They've kept it in the Endeavor 2 GT. The 12S5P is going to give you really fantastic range, really no matter how you ride it. You know, if you're a bigger guy and you're off-road, you know you're going to get less range. If you're a small person riding on the road, you're going to get really good range. But the 12S5P with those cells that they're using, they're the Samsung cells, they perform really well. You might remember from my Endeavor range test, I was almost at the very end of my range test. I had about 10-15% battery left, and I was still able to climb the steepest street in my area, which was around 19-21% degrees, whichever the steeper one is. The cells perform really well. Now, while we're talking about electronics, we need to talk about the ESC. The Endeavor Pro and Pro 2 was famous, sometimes infamous, for using a VESC-based speed controller. It was a flip sky, and it was received reasonably well. It delivered good power, and people could go in and they could alter it and dial and play around with it. But more often than not, it would lead to problems. They've made a move for the GT to make this more customer-centric, and they've gone with a Fock Lingy. Now, I know all the DIYers out there are grabbing their face and pulling and groaning and going, why?
Don't roll your eyes at
I
me.
had that same reaction when I read they were going away from a VESC-based speed controller. But honestly, in this board, it seems to go pretty well. They're using a 55 amp ESC, so it's much upgraded from the S. The S Endeavor was only 34, I think, from memory. 55 amp, and this flies. Like, it takes me up hills on concrete and on grass. I can lose traction, I can do spins, I can do little donuts. It seems to go really well. Plus, you get the added benefits of the roll to start, and you can control the lights, front and rear, brake light, which is reactive, from the remote control. That one benefit for the lights for me as a pretty just average rider, that's a big benefit for me. I really like that control. My VESC and my Endeavor, I've never touched it. I've never adjusted it, I never will. If I ever did, I know I would break it. All right, I've just put Danny onto the Endeavor GT. He did ride this far on the Endeavor Pro. Second time rider, he seems to be handling it pretty well. We've got him wearing some protection. We've got him on my Kevlar shirt and the Nobleman knee pads. Ooh, that wind. That wind is ferocious. Something else I'll say about the Endeavor GT is it's quieter. Now, it probably comes down to the belt tension. The original Endeavor has like tensioners. This one is just straight gear and belt, which makes it a lot easier to set up. It's one less thing to get dirty, in my opinion. But Danny is looking pretty confident sitting on 32k an hour there. I don't want to jinx it. Right, you've ridden both. Which one do you prefer?
I got this one for sure.
Yeah, so the GT, why?
I like how this, what do you call it, the suspension?
Yep.
I'll give you a better soundbite than that, but.
Nah, that's fine. So you're right, this one's Carvia.
Yeah, the Carvia, it feels better. It feels like, you know, that Simpsons song.
Glides as softly as a cloud.
But also the remote you mentioned.
Oh, yeah, the brakes feel better. Like,
smoother.
I think that I don't like having that thing in the middle.
The notch.
I think that kind of,
Okay.
it makes it too jerky.
Too jerky.
You can finesse it a little bit.
Would you say it's turkey or beef jerky?
Beef turkey.
Okay, so moving on with the upgrades, what else have they done? Well, right here, if you can see, I'll do a little zoom in shot. They've moved the charge port to a more sensible spot. It's now on the side, it's easy to charge. You don't have to lift the board up. And this long black thing here is now the aerial. So it's much more protected. It's much more slimline. There's a lot less risk of you damaging that aerial now when you're off-road, going past rocks, stones, trees, stumps, kangaroos. It's not gonna get caught. Well, it may get caught, but it's a lot less likely to get caught. This is a much smarter option for the aerial position. As far as the motors, they have not changed. They are still the tried and tested 6374 motors, putting out a max of 3,000 watts each. The Fock Lingy has a top speed of 34 miles per hour. I've had it up to 32. felt really stable. Could have gone a little bit faster, didn't, chickened out, you'll see the footage. It's just a nice board. I think it's a really clever upgrade, and I think it will attract a new type of rider, someone who isn't really interested in programming their VESC and dealing with the bugs that come with the FlipSky. Keeping in the theme of relocations, another thing they have moved is the power button. It's now up the top here, lights up, beeps, you know it's on, you can see that at a glance. But as I mentioned, with the Foclingi, you've also got the roll to start. So bending down to turn it on is now irrelevant. You just roll it forward with your foot and it turns on. Before I talk about a couple of improvements that I'd like to see, here's the remote control. Really simple operation. Hold down. It's the standard Lingy remote we've all seen before. Roll forward to go forward, pull back to stop. You've got your gear change button, adjustable brakes, and you hold this button down and it turns on your lights and turns on your brake light. So flashing when you're not braking, solid when you brake. Okay, so that's all the positives, that's the upgrades, that's what I'm really enjoying about the Propel Endeavor2 GT. What's a couple of things, I think, just really small misses or improvements or opportunities? The first one is the grip tape. I really like the grip tape, it's pretty. I think it probably could maybe be padded, but more specifically, more importantly, they need to put the bolt holes. I want to see the pre-cut bolt holes on the deck to make it easier to remove, to get to the battery, to get to the Foclingi, and even to put on the bind ends. I'm gonna mess this up when I try to find those bolt holes to put the bind ends on. The next small one is the remote control. I think Propel is making so much of their own stuff. You know, this is made by Propel. Why not make a new remote control outer? Keep the same guts, nothing really needs to change as far as the internals, but why not splurge and do the molds? I know it's not cheap, I get that, but how nice would it be if this was a different remote and not the same remote we've seen with countless other boards? So to summarize, if you're looking for an off-road board with big motors, big battery, independent suspension, handles well, reasonably light, nice smallish footprint, the Endeavor series, the GT, is definitely still one to consider. I'm so glad to see them back. I'm so glad to see innovation coming down that pipeline again. The Pivot, which is another one they're about to release, looks really exciting. I think that's gonna shake up the 2-in-1 market. But for now, if you're looking at getting one of these, the link's in the description. Scott D will give you a nice little discount off the board, and it supports the channel, so if you choose to use that, thank you very much. As always, if you've got any comments or questions, chuck them down below. I will do my best to reply to every single one. The channel is growing beautifully and we're getting lots more comments now, but I still sit down every couple of days and respond to the comments. So if I don't respond straight away, give me time and I'll definitely get to you. But that's the end of the video. What do you guys think of the Propel GT? Do you think this is a really nice addition to the Propel family? I honestly believe it is. Tell me what you think below. Again, I want to know your thoughts, what you think. That's it. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, skate safe, wear a helmet, and we'll see you in the next video.
Scotty. Oh, Scotty.